I've been thinking, what would I do if I could do it all over again? And I did do it all over again. I made a mock registry, and you can follow along with me, and I'll give you guys 5 tips that I wish someone told me as I was putting my registry together. Let's get into it. Tip number 1 is to avoid toxins. The main toxin that I am trying to avoid is petroleum-based synthetic materials are not biodegradable and chemically leach into our bodies via our food, our water, and the air, aka plastics. These come in the names polyester, BPA, PFAS. Those are main buzzwords to avoid. Plastics chemically leach into our bodies, and this causes both endocrine and immune disruption, leading to cancers, reproductive issues, etc. Now that we're knowing what to avoid, we can head to the bedroom and I can tell you what to look for. But before you look into my bedroom, this leads me into tip number 2, which is make an inspo board. Picture your dream kitchen, your dream bedroom. What are the colors you like? The patterns. What materials do you like? What wash of wood? What kind of metal? Are you a gold? Are you a silver? Really look at all the pictures you could possibly look at and find out the things you like and things that you will want to have forever. Because if you're putting very high quality natural fiber things on your registry, it's because you're going to have them forever. You're not doing a quick, cheap swap. No one asked me, but I'll tell you, I think you should get a king bed. We put a queen on ours and we're like, oh, it'll be fine, already upgraded to a king. It hasn't been that long. Especially if you're planning on having kids. Everyone I've talked to, whether they plan on co-sleeping with their child or not, the kid ends up in the bed with you. There's just not room for 2 adults and a child in a queen bed. I don't know why. Everyone has this problem. I would just go for the dream and put the king on the registry. And with that, all of your linens would also have to be a king size. At least a third of our lives are meant to be spent sleeping. So I think it's really important what we're in contact with while we're laying our heads down. Okay, so mattresses, very often polyester, whatever synthetic material filling and exterior. We want to go for a more natural mattress. So what to look for here is latex. No, it sounds like latex is plastic, but it's not. It is a natural polymer made from rubber trees. Yes, rubber is a tree. It is biodegradable. You want to find a bed made out of organic latex, cotton, wool, with real metal springs for structural support. Your linens, you want natural fibers. This means things from plants, cotton, bamboo, flax, also from animals like wool or silk. What I have on the registry is cotton. Cotton you'll have the most variety. It'll be cheaper and it works just as well as silk or wool or any other bamboo fancy natural fiber you got. Story time. I got engaged the fall of my senior year of undergrad. I was a student athlete trying to finish up my degree while planning a wedding and making a registry. And I felt like, gotta get the registry together quickly because then all the save the dates go out and that's on the wedding website. And this led me to mindlessly slapping things on my registry instead of being mindful and intentional about what I was putting on there. And because I was only 21, I had never lived in an apartment or a home without just 5 other girls. So we were truly starting from scratch. And it was really hard for me to really assess what we would need. I also just wasn't aware of what to avoid. Tragically, we got basically everything we asked for. People were so generous. And we've actually had to start getting rid of things, swapping things out that we put on our registry already. We've only been married for 2.5 years because we didn't realize how bad they were. All right, and then my third tip is strive for the family heirloom. You want something that is timeless. There's always a place and time for quicker, cheaper things that only serve a purpose for so long. But I'm here to argue your registry is not that place. You don't have to be afraid or insecure to ask for what you really want and what will last, that your children's children will be excited to inherit. This tip is going to kind of cover your general living spaces. Wool carpets and rugs are super good natural fibers that I suggest you look for and put on your registry. You want to avoid white and things that that are hard to clean though. Trust me, white won't last very long. My fourth tip is to really assess your needs. Videos that are like, these are the essentials to have on your registry, they piss me off because essential is relative. I don't know your story. I don't know where you're coming from, where you're going, what you're into, but my vote will always be for the more intentional, minimal items. For example, we got 2 full pan sets, both of them full of non-stick poison. We had to get rid of those. We got a bar cart that was like just not a good quality, and then we ended up we don't even drink that much. You know, there's things that you kind of put on because they're suggested to you. You don't actually need them. We have 1 pan and 1 pot. We just use 1 pan and 1 pot. And those 2 pan sets that we got and we ended up getting rid of, I think we just used pretty much the medium pan in both of those. You don't need a ton of stuff. Our most used appliances might not be what you guys use the most, but I put clean, non-toxic versions of what we use often on there. I'd say our most common used appliances are our KitchenAid. I make lots of sourdough and baked goods. I don't necessarily think you need a stand mixer if you don't do a lot of that. Pretty much everything that the stand mixer does, you can do by hand, and it's heavy. So if you're not doing a lot of baking, I don't really think you need it. The second thing that we use a lot is a rice cooker. It's just quick and convenient. We don't have to worry about it as much as doing rice on the stove, but if you're not a huge rice person, you don't need that. And the last one is our Ninja blender. This is one item that is made out of hard plastic, but I feel like it's worth it because it allows us to be so minimal. We have just 1 base, a handful of attachments, and we have our food processor, our blender, our coffee grinder. We make hummus in there. I make dough. I make sauces. It's all in just this very convenient set for us. I do highly recommend that. If you're like, no, there's plastic in that, stay away, I respect that. And there is NutriBullet, I believe is the brand. They have stainless steel blender. Now, the price of just the blender attachment is the price of like the whole Ninja set. So up to your discernment if you think you'll use it a ton, if you want to go that route, you decide. Other appliances I can run by you and just make sure that you're looking for things that don't have a non-stick coating. Look at the material lists, make sure there's no poly, para, blah, 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 blah. That's a plastic you should be avoiding. We don't really use our toaster or our panini press very often. If we're toasting something or making a toasted sandwich, usually we just put it on the stovetop. We also don't really use an air fryer or big coffee maker. We're usually doing like our single or smaller serving French press or Bialetti. So I have those things on there too. Materials that you ought to look for: cast iron, stainless steel, or other metal alloys like titanium, glass, and ceramic. These are all clean, natural materials that are great around food. However, stainless steel, I feel like everyone's like raw stainless steel, but please, if you're putting a pan set that's stainless steel on your registry, look at the material lists, because I saw lots of pan sets that ended up putting PFAS and other like Teflon non-stick coatings on the stainless steel pan. I'm like, dude, defeating the whole purpose. Be on the lookout for that. For cooking utensils, I would avoid silicone and just try to use wood or stainless steel. A note on silicone though, generally it is a synthetic petroleum material, but it's not considered a plastic. It doesn't have a recycling number like the other ones we've been talking about. Because it has like a kind of a different chemical makeup, it's much more chemically stable and less likely to leach into your food. However, I still don't trust it if you're going to be heating it up, but if you want like a silicone straw or something that isn't going to be around your food while it's hot, I think it's okay. So for example, I have glass storage sets on this registry, and a lot of them have a silicone seal. I think that's fine if you're storing things and they're not hot, you're putting them in the fridge. The silicone shouldn't be chemically leaching into your food. Assess your needs. Essential is relative. Think about, what do I want to be doing in my kitchen? It would be great to just slap on a Ninja Creamy and a Ninja Slushy and a Ninja Crisp. What really complements how you're going to cook? Because having a bunch of extra stuff is actually just a big headache at the end of the day. You got this. Think about it. Take some time. And I know you'll put on there what is right for you. The fifth and final tip that I have for you today is that new/the name brand is not always better. I have lots of ceramic plates, serving dishes, and utensils on the registry because you'll definitely need those things, but these are things that you can get at a great quality at a thrift store. I'll prove it to you. I'll take you to the thrift store. You can get like a set of really nice matching ceramic plates for a super reasonable price, like $1 a plate versus $10 a plate. It's also really easy to find glassware, ceramics, furniture, different antiques with real wood, none of that composite plastic poison. So thrifting is really kind on your budget. It's really kind on your body and the environment. I think if I, could do this all over again, I would visit a couple thrift stores and look for things there first before even making my registry. You can find lots of golden items. Just to make a note on name brands, an acacia wood cutting board that you get from Crate and Barrel is probably the same quality as you could get on Amazon. It's just without the name brand. Be thinking about that, and if they have the same materials, one isn't necessarily better for your body than another, don't be afraid to put the cheaper one on there. All right, that concludes the 5 tips that I have for you today. Best of luck building your registry. I know you're going to do great building yourself a low toxic and mindful home. You got this.